We don't always talk about this moment. It doesn't get a hashtag. It doesn't get a movie made about it. There's no big dramatic scene, no slammed door, no shouting match in the rain. And yet, if you've lived long enough, if you've loved people and lost people and learned people, you know this moment intimately. It's the moment you go quiet. Not because you're weak, not because you're hurt beyond words, but because you finally understood something that took you years, maybe decades, to learn. That the strongest boundaries a woman ever builds are not the loud ones. They are not the ones announced in a text message with 17 exclamation points. They are not the ones performed for an audience so everyone knows you were wronged. The strongest boundaries are quiet. They are private. They are the ones only you and your own soul bear witness to. Wise women know this. And more than knowing it, they live it. When something inside them shifts, when a relationship stops giving life and starts taking it, they don't announce a war. They don't write the essay. They don't stage the confrontation everyone secretly hopes for in the movies. They simply step back with clarity, with silence, with distance. And underneath all of that, with a kind of ferocious self-respect that doesn't need anyone's applause to be real. Let's talk about why this matters. Because this isn't just emotional, it's physical, it's biological. Dr. Julianne Holt-Lunstad, whose research on human connection has reshaped how we think about relationships, found something that should stop you in your tracks. Poor quality relationships can be as damaging to your lifespan as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Sit with that for a second. 15 cigarettes every single day. That's not a metaphor. That's a measurable physiological cost that your body pays every time you stay in a connection that quietly corrodes you. And yet, how many of us keep smoking those cigarettes anyway? We tell ourselves stories to keep the peace. Maybe it's not that bad. Maybe I'm too sensitive. Maybe if I just try harder, explain myself better, give a little more, they'll finally see me the way I need to be seen. But here's the truth that every wise woman eventually arrives at. Your discomfort is data. Your gut isn't being dramatic. It's been trying to tell you something long before your mind was ready to listen. Today, we're going to walk through 5 kinds of people that wise women learn, often the hard way, to release. Not with cruelty, not with revenge, but with the calm, unshakable clarity of someone who has finally decided her peace is not negotiable. Let's begin. 1. The underminer. You know this person, you've known them for years maybe. They might be a friend from way back, a family member who shares your last name, a coworker who sits 3 desks away. On the surface, everything about them looks supportive. They smile in the right places, they nod along, they say most of the right things, but something happens after you talk to them. You can't always name it right away. It's not an insult, nothing you could screenshot and show a friend and say, see, look how rude they were. It's quieter than that. It's a kind of slow leak in your chest. You feel a little smaller than you did before the conversation started, and you can't quite explain why. You get a promotion, and instead of pure celebration, they say,
wow, I don't know how you handle that kind of pressure. Honestly, I could never do it. It sounds like awe.
It lands like a warning label pasted over your joy. You mention you've started therapy, something that took real courage to admit out loud, and they tilt their heads, slightly soften their voice and say, good for you. I mean, I've been lucky. I've never really needed that. But I've heard it helps some people. Oh, did you catch it? The pause, the hesitation, that subtle, almost invisible edge tucked inside a sentence dressed up as concern, dressed up as humility. It's not a compliment. It's a comparison disguised as kindness. And it chips away at you piece by piece, conversation by conversation, until one day you realize you've been bleeding slowly for years and never noticed the wound. Psychologists have a clinical term for this, passive undermining. But you already knew it by a different name, that unmistakable feeling in your gut. You walk away from these interactions replaying the words, turning them over, asking yourself, was that support? Or was that something else entirely? And 9 times out of 10, you talk yourself out of your own perception. You decide you're overreacting. You decide you're being unfair. You give them the benefit of every doubt you refuse to give yourself. But your intuition is not wrong. Dr. Shelley Taylor's research on stress and close relationships found something remarkable. Subtle, low-grade negativity in our closest relationships can actually be more damaging over time than open hostility. Why? Because open hostility is easy to name. You can point at it, you can defend against it. But this soft, velvet-gloved undermining slips past your defenses precisely because it looks like love. Your brain doesn't need a shouting match to register a threat. Every one of those small hits, the pause before the compliment, the comparison hiding inside encouragement, triggers a spike of cortisol, your body's primary stress hormone. Even while you're smiling, even while you're saying thank you through gritted teeth, your nervous system knows what your mouth is too polite to admit. And here's the part that should genuinely alarm you. Research on feedback and performance has shown that people who are subjected to this kind of chronic, low-grade undermining actually begin to perform worse over time. Not because their skill diminishes, not because they suddenly become less capable, but because they begin, slowly and invisibly, to doubt themselves. That is the real cost of the underminer. It's not just that you feel bad in the moment, it's that you start to shrink permanently. Your ambition gets smaller, your voice gets quieter, your dreams get modest, reasonable, easy to defend, easy to justify, because some part of you has absorbed the message that wanting more makes you a target. Here's what makes this dynamic so disorienting though. Most underminers genuinely believe they are being supportive. They are not villains twirling a mustache in the shadows. They are, in their own minds, being honest, being humble, being real with you. They're not throwing stones at you. They're handing you a bouquet of flowers with the thorns still attached, and insisting the thorns are just part of the flower. And for women, especially women stepping into leadership, starting something new, breaking a generational pattern their family has never seen broken before, this dynamic shows up constantly. Dr. Joan Williams, whose research focuses on workplace bias, found that women disproportionately receive what's called soft criticism. Feedback wrapped so tightly in compliments that you leave the conversation not quite sure if you were praised or put in your place. This isn't accidental. It's how discomfort with a woman's competence quietly disguises itself in polite company, in professional settings, at family dinners, in group chats. So what do wise women do with this information? They stop playing detective. They stop replaying every sentence like it's evidence in a courtroom trial, only they are running. Because here's the liberating truth. You don't need a confession. You don't need the underminer to admit what they're doing, because most of the time they don't even know they're doing it. Instead, wise women trust the feeling. That's it. That's the whole test. Do you feel lighter after spending time with this person, or smaller? Does their so-called support lift you up, or does it come laced with just enough doubt to keep you small and manageable? Once you start paying attention, really paying attention, the pattern reveals itself. And the response doesn't need to be loud. You don't need a confrontation scene. You don't owe anyone a farewell speech explaining exactly why you're stepping back. Wise women simply step back, quietly. They stop bringing their wins to that friend. They stop pitching their new ideas to that colleague. They start reserving their joy, their growth, their fragile new dreams for people who know how to hold them gently. Because here's something worth remembering. Your dreams are most fragile when they're new. Your confidence, especially something you're just building, is still taking root in soil that hasn't had time to harden. You cannot afford to let the first hands that touch that new growth be hands laced with doubt. Cutting off the underminer doesn't mean you hate them. It doesn't mean you wish them harm. It means you've decided to protect what you're building with the same fierceness you'd protect a child, a garden, a flame in the wind. And sometimes the kindest thing you can do for both of you is to walk away without noise, without anger, just with a quiet, unshakable certainty. Because a wise woman knows this, silence is not weakness. Silence chosen deliberately is strength wrapped in self-respect. 2. The chronic taker. This one rarely announces itself. It doesn't arrive with a warning label. It starts small, innocent even. They need a favor. Of course you're happy to help. That's who you are. You're the reliable one. The one people can call at 2 a.m. and know you'll pick up. You wear that reliability almost like a badge of honor. But then it happens again and again. Slowly, without either of you quite noticing the shift, you become the person they call every time life gets hard. Every time plans fall through, every time no one else answers the phone. They need advice. They need your time. They need you to listen again and again, and you give it freely because you care, and because somewhere along the way, being needed started to feel like your job description in this relationship. And then, one day, you need them. It doesn't even have to be something enormous. Maybe you've had a genuinely hard week. Maybe you just need one person to check in and ask how you're doing, really doing. You reach out, and the silence on the other end is louder than you ever expected it to be. Or worse, they do show up, but only halfway. They listen technically. Their voice makes the right sounds. But you can feel their attention drifting somewhere else, some other more interesting corner of their own life. You hang up the phone and you don't feel comforted. You feel lonelier than you did before you called. And that's the moment it hits you, usually all at once. This relationship was never actually mutual. It's a transaction disguised as friendship. You give, they take, and somewhere along the way, you stop noticing the imbalance because you were too busy trying to be enough for both of you. There's a term for this, emotional labor, coined by sociologist Ali Hochschild. Her research, and decades of research that followed it, shows that women disproportionately shoulder the burden of tending to everyone else's emotional needs. We become the default listeners, the designated peacemakers, the ones who remember the birthdays, who smooth over the conflicts nobody else wants to touch. And when this role stops being appreciated and simply becomes expected, when it becomes assumed rather than acknowledged, it curdles into something psychologists call compassion fatigue. You start to feel drained in a way that has nothing to do with your schedule. It's not that you're busy, it's that you're depleted emotionally in a way that seeps into your chest and sits there. It's the exhaustion of pouring from a cup that hasn't been refilled in longer than you can remember. Research on burnout backs this up completely. Burnout isn't only about how much work you're carrying, it's about the imbalance between what you give and what you receive. Every relationship in your life is either a source of energy or a slow, steady leak, and chronic takers, without ever meaning to, are the leak. Here's the hardest, most disorienting part of this dynamic though. Chronic takers rarely see themselves this way. In their own minds, they're not using you. They're simply leaning on someone who seems strong, someone who always seems to know exactly what to say, someone who never seems to need anything back. And that is precisely the danger, because eventually you start believing that story too. You tell yourself, they need me. I can handle this. I'm strong enough to carry it. Until quietly, one day, you're not. Until you're the one falling apart in private, still showing up for everyone else, while your own needs go unmet in a room nobody thinks to check. Wise women learn to see this pattern before it breaks them completely. They recognize, sometimes painfully late but always in time, the exhausting weight of carrying a relationship entirely alone, and the shift, when it comes, is quiet but seismic. They stop over-explaining themselves. They stop replying to every text within 60 seconds like it's an emergency. They let a call go to voicemail sometimes, not out of spite, not out of anger, but out of something far more powerful, self-respect. Because here's the truth underneath all of this. Real connection is reciprocal. This isn't about keeping a scoreboard, tallying every favor like a ledger, but it is about balance. You deserve to receive as much love, as much attention, as much care as you give away so freely. And this is where I want to say something important. True belonging never requires you to abandon yourself in order to be loved. It asks the opposite. It asks you to stand fully in your own worth and to believe, without needing anyone's permission, that your needs matter exactly as much as everyone else's. So wise women step back from the chronic taker, not with resentment burning in their chest, but with a quiet understanding that their energy, their time, their emotional bandwidth is precious and finite, and it deserves to go somewhere it's met with gratitude instead of expectation. Because a wise woman knows this, you cannot build a whole, sustainable life for yourself while you're constantly propping up someone else's. 3. the trust breaker. It rarely announces itself as a betrayal at first. Sometimes it's just a hairline crack. You share something personal, something that took real courage to say out loud, something you rehearsed in your head before you finally let it leave your mouth, and a week later you hear it again from someone else. Maybe the details have shifted slightly. Maybe the story's been softened at the edges, but you know exactly where it started. Or it's subtler than that. You open up about a struggle, and later you sense it resurfacing, not directly, not as an accusation, but folded into a passing comment, a joke wrapped in laughter that lands just a little too hard, a little too close to the bone. You tell yourself it's nothing. You extend the benefit of the doubt like you always do. They didn't mean it that way. I'm being too sensitive again. But your body knows better than your mind wants to admit. That tightening in your chest, that heat rising up your neck and into your face, that's not overreaction. That is your nervous system correctly identifying a breach in the wall you thought was solid. Dr. John Gottman, one of the most respected researchers on relationships in the world, found something profound about how trust is actually built. He calls them sliding door moments, the countless small instances where someone has a choice to turn toward you or turn away from you. And it's never the grand gestures that determine whether a relationship is safe. It's the accumulation of 1,000 tiny choices. Trust isn't built the day someone shows up for your wedding. It's built the ordinary Tuesday. They remembered you had a hard day and sent a text just to check in. It's built when they guard your story the way they'd guard their own. It's built when they show up, not perfectly, nobody shows up perfectly, but consistently, again and again, in the small, unglamorous moments nobody else is watching. But when trust breaks, it's rarely one dramatic collapse. It's erosion. It happens gradually enough that you almost don't notice it happening to you. You start holding back, just slightly. You share the surface level stuff, the funny stories, the safe updates, but you tuck the real pain somewhere they can't reach it anymore. You laugh along in conversations, but there's a tightness in your throat that wasn't there before. You start protecting yourself in their presence, and that is the exact moment the relationship shifts from connection into performance. Dr. Paul Zach's research into oxytocin, the hormone most closely linked to bonding and trust, found that it surges through our bodies when we feel emotionally safe with someone. Trust makes our nervous systems relax. Our guard lowers. We become capable of real vulnerability. But when trust is compromised, cortisol takes over instead. We tense. We start scanning for danger, even in casual conversation. Even while we're smiling on the outside, our body is quietly bracing for the next hit. Wise women feel this shift long before they can fully explain it. They don't need hard evidence. They don't need a confrontation to validate what they already know in their bones. They trust the tightening in their chest. They trust the instinct that says, pull back, because here's a truth that took most of us far too long to learn. Explaining to someone why they should be trustworthy has never once worked. Not with a partner, not with a friend, not with family. Trust isn't demanded into existence through a conversation. It's demonstrated consistently over time, or it isn't real at all. So wise women stop chasing it. They stop trying to convince someone to handle their heart with more care. They let distance do the talking that words never could. There's no announcement, no dramatic final conversation. They simply, quietly, start choosing other people. People who hold their stories the way you'd hold something fragile and irreplaceable. And to be clear, this isn't about demanding perfection from the people in your life. Everyone gets it wrong sometimes. Everyone has an off day, a lapse in judgment, a moment they wish they could take back. But wise women learn to tell the difference between a mistake and a pattern. When someone repeatedly, consistently makes you feel unsafe with your own truth, that isn't clumsiness anymore. That's a choice, whether they'd admit it or not. And choosing to quietly step away from that pattern isn't cruelty. It's self-protection in its purest form. Because a wise woman knows this, her voice, her story, her truth. These things are sacred, and not everyone who asks to hear them has actually earned the right. 4. The drama magnet. You recognize this person almost instantly, even if it takes you far longer to actually admit what you're seeing. Every conversation is a crisis. Every single day is a brand new conflict, A brand new wound, a brand new person who's wronged them somehow. Someone didn't meet their expectations. Someone broke their heart. Someone said the wrong thing at exactly the wrong moment. Again. At first you lean in. Of course you do. That's what good friends do, isn't it? You listen. You offer advice gently, carefully. You try to bring a little perspective into the storm. You tell yourself they just need support right now, that life is genuinely hard for them at this particular moment. But then, slowly you start noticing the pattern underneath the noise. The names in the story change. The specific details shift from telling to telling. But the shape of the story never does. It's not just a bad week, it's every week. And somehow, impossibly, they're always at the center of it. Always the one who's been wronged, always stirring some new version of the same pot. Even in moments when everything could have simply settled into peace. You tell yourself you're being a compassionate friend. But if you're being fully honest with yourself, you feel exhausted after every single interaction. You hang up the phone and your heart is racing as though the crisis was somehow yours. You find yourself checking your messages at night, already bracing for whatever the next wave is going to bring. That is not connection. That is emotional hijacking, plain and simple. Dr. Susan David, a psychologist known for her research on emotional agility, has written extensively about how unchecked emotional reactivity, being constantly swept up in extreme highs and extreme lows, creates chronic stress, not just for the person experiencing it, but for everyone orbiting around them. And here's the neuroscience behind why it affects you so deeply. Our brains are wired for something called emotional contagion. We mirror the emotional states of the people we spend time with, often without any conscious awareness that it's even happening. If someone around you exists in a near constant state of turmoil, your own nervous system absorbs that turmoil like secondhand smoke. It gets into your lungs, whether you meant to breathe it in or not. And it isn't just a mental toll, it's a fully physical one. Chronic exposure to high-stress relationships has been shown to trigger repeated cortisol surges, which wear down your immune system over time, disrupt your sleep cycles, and, over years, can even increase your risk of cardiovascular disease. The drama magnet doesn't just cost you an evening of peace. Left unchecked, they cost you your health. But here's the part that's genuinely hardest to admit. Even privately, sometimes we stay in these dynamics because some quiet part of us likes being needed, being the stable one, the calm voice of reason in someone else's storm. That role can feel, for a while, like purpose. It can make you feel important, indispensable, chosen, until, one day, it doesn't anymore. Until you realize that chaos has started drowning out your own peace, and you can no longer tell the difference between caring for someone and being consumed by them. Wise women learn to catch this before it breaks them entirely. They come to understand that stepping back from someone else's chronic crisis is not abandonment. It is clarity. It's the understanding that you can genuinely care about a person's well-being without volunteering to carry their entire emotional load on your own back. You can offer real empathy without climbing all the way into their storm and losing your own footing. The shift, again, is subtle rather than dramatic. You stop asking for every single update. You stop rushing in to solve what was never yours to solve in the first place. You let their message sit unanswered for a little while before you respond, rather than dropping everything the instant it arrives. And eventually, they notice. Some people, when this happens, will naturally recalibrate and find a healthier equilibrium with you. Others will escalate instead. They'll accuse you of changing, of pulling away, of not being there for them the way you used to be. That accusation, when it comes, is actually incredibly clarifying, because it tells you plainly that your role in their life was never truly about mutual support. It was about keeping their emotional world spinning, with you as the unpaid, unacknowledged stabilizer. But wise women don't rush to defend themselves against that accusation. They don't need to. They understand, deep in their bones, that protecting their own peace isn't selfish. It's essential, non-negotiable even. Because a wise woman knows this, you can genuinely love someone, care for them, wish them well, and still choose yourself. 5. The subtle competitor. This one is perhaps the hardest to name, because it rarely looks like competition at first glance. Sometimes it looks like friendship. Sometimes it even looks like admiration. They cheer for you, loudly, publicly, in front of other people. But underneath the surface, there's something else moving. You feel it in the quick, almost reflexive comparison whenever you share good news. You hear it in the "wow, must be nice," tossed off just a little too casually when an opportunity comes your way. You see it in the subtle tension that creeps into the room whenever your life starts genuinely going well. It's faint, it's easy to talk yourself out of noticing, but it's there. When you succeed, their smile tightens, just barely, just for a second. When you struggle, they lean in a little too comfortably, a little too eagerly, and it leaves you second-guessing your own perception. Am I imagining this, you ask yourself? Because they're not cruel to you. They don't tear you down in obvious ways. In fact, they celebrate you out loud in front of witnesses. But something about the way they celebrate leaves you feeling watched rather than genuinely supported. Social comparison theory, first developed by the psychologist Leon Festinger decades ago, explains exactly why this dynamic is so common and so deeply human. We are wired, all of us, to evaluate ourselves in relation to the people around us. It's one of the primary ways we gauge our own progress, measure our own sense of success. But when comparison quietly roots itself inside a relationship instead of staying inside our own private reflection, it warps the entire dynamic. Your win, without either of you ever saying it out loud, starts to feel like their loss. Dr. Kristin Neff's research on self-compassion offers a crucial insight here. People who lack a stable foundation of self-worth often genuinely struggle to celebrate the people around them without some friction. Your success in their internal world unintentionally becomes proof of their own inadequacy. And instead of your joy inspiring them, it triggers something closer to insecurity, dressed up as interest. Here's what makes this particular person so difficult to identify and so difficult to walk away from. Most of the time, they don't even know they're doing it. Their insecurity wears the mask of interest. Their quiet envy dresses itself up as concern. So you keep sharing because you want, so badly, to believe the best about the people you love. You let them into your dreams, your plans, your private moments of pride. But slowly, over time, you notice yourself instinctively holding back. You catch yourself downplaying your own achievements before anyone else even has the chance to. You minimize the good news in your own voice just to avoid that flicker of resentment they try and fail to fully hide. And that's the moment you realize with sudden clarity that this relationship isn't actually a safe place for your growth. Research on goal pursuit and social support backs this observation up powerfully. People surrounded by encouraging non-competitive friendships are measurably more likely to achieve their goals and sustain their success over the long term. But people surrounded instead by subtle, simmering competition tend to experience significantly higher stress and lower confidence. Not because they're any less capable, but because so much of their emotional energy is spent quietly managing the undercurrent in the relationship instead of investing that energy into their own dreams. Wise women learn to feel this shift early, sometimes before they can even fully articulate what's happening. They come to understand a simple, spacious truth. Real friendship has room in it for everyone to thrive at once. There is no scarcity built into genuine love. Your light does not and cannot dim someone else's. So they make a quiet choice. They stop offering front row seats to people who can't manage to clap for them without also comparing themselves. They start guarding their wins the same fierce way they guard their healing. Not with secrecy, not with shame, but with discernment. The distance they create isn't punishment, it's protection, plain and simple. Because a wise woman knows this, her growth is non-negotiable, and the people she allows close to her will either water that growth or they will quietly, persistently withhold the sun. Closing. Cutting people off silently with grace instead of noise is never the easy path. It goes against nearly everything most of us were taught growing up about loyalty, about forgiveness, about what it means to be a good woman, a good friend, a good daughter, a good person. But wise women come to understand something that took every one of them time and often real pain to learn. Protecting your peace is not cruelty. It is clarity. It is the ability to finally tell the difference between compassion and self-sacrifice, between showing up for someone you love and slowly disappearing to keep them comfortable. It is realizing fully and without apology that your time, your energy, your heart, these things are sacred. Not everyone who wants access to them has actually earned it. Letting go of someone doesn't mean you wish them harm. It has never meant that, no matter what old stories tell you. It simply means you finally, fully wish yourself well. It means choosing deliberately to build a life filled with mutual respect, with real and demonstrated trust, with people who genuinely want to see you win, not because your winning benefits them in some way, but because they love you enough to want your joy for its own sake. So the next time you feel that quiet knowing settle into your gut, that unmistakable signal that someone in your life is taking more than they're giving, draining more than they're pouring back in, listen to it, trust it. Don't argue yourself out of it the way you've done 100 times before. Your boundaries were never meant to be walls built to keep love out. They are doors. Doors that, when you finally learn to use them, let the right people walk in and quietly, gently, without any noise at all, let the wrong ones walk out. You deserve relationships that leave you feeling stronger, not smaller. You deserve people who genuinely celebrate you, not people who merely tolerate you while waiting their turn. And more than anything else, you deserve to feel at peace in your own life, in your own home, in your own skin. That peace was never selfish to want. It was always yours to claim.